and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Renee Fong and you are watching Updates at Noon. On today's headlines, 700,000 passengers expected to travel via flight during Aidilfitri season. At least 78 people killed in Yemen stampede. Approaching Aidilfitri celebrations, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim expresses hope that the people strengthen unity to develop and save the beloved country. He believes the unity of the people can raise the dignity of the country and allow the rakyat to live in a peaceful and prosperous environment together.
Baik, Assalamualaikum. Sempena sambutan ini yang diraihkan oleh semua umat Islam di negara kita dan seluruh dunia. Saya ucapkan selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. Mari kita kuatkan semangat kesatuan rakyat Malaysia, membangunkan negara, menyelamatkan negara dan memulakan daripada diri kita setelah Ramadan Karim, kita membersihkan diri, jiwa kita supaya mengangkat martabat keluarga kita, masyarakat kita, negara kita sebagai satu kesatuan.
The Prime Minister said this in a video lasting 2 minutes and 36 seconds, which was uploaded on his Facebook page. In the video, the Tambun Member of Parliament is seen buying 3 sticks of lemang, which is commonly consumed during Hari Raya.
Untuk memasukkan beras pulut dan santan ke dalam puluh, kini tiba masanya puluh dibakar.
The government has decided to extend the Aidilfitri special financial aid to 3 more volunteer bodies, namely the Territorial Army Regiment, Armed Forces Reserve Force, PSAT and Malaysian Maritime Volunteer Corps, PSMM. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this was in response to applications submitted by these bodies.
Ialah untuk sukarelawan. Tadi saya dimaklum bahawa ada permohonan di kalangan sukarelawan yang tidak dimasukkan. Pertama, sukarelawan dari Wataniah. Kedua, sukarelawan Angkatan Tentera. Dan ketiga, sukarelawan Maritim. Yang ketiga-tiga kita masukkan dalam kategori bantuan Aidilfitri sukarelawan.
The Prime Minister was met after a walkabout to meet the traders at the PKNS Ramadan Bazaar in Shah Alam. Meanwhile, the Finance Ministry said 26,000 people from the 3 volunteer bodies would receive the Aidilfitri special financial aid involving an allocation of 7.8 million ringgit. Nearly 700,000 passengers are expected to travel during the Aidilfitri festive period based on the number of flights that have been approved by the Malaysian Aviation Commission, MAVCOM. As such, MAVCOM had conducted surprise inspections at Kuala Lumpur International Airport Terminals 1 and 2 as well as the Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport in Subang beginning 17th April to ensure smooth operations and passengers' comfort. According to MAVCOM Executive Chairman Datuk Sri Saripudin Kasim, the inspections found that the level of preparedness of both airlines and airport operators at all passenger touchpoints is satisfactory in anticipation of the increase in passenger traffic. MAVCOM also reminded industry players to consistently ensure operational readiness and prevent any disruption in passengers' journey. It also prompted airlines to adhere to their published flight schedules and approved slots, while airport operators were reminded to adhere to the set service level standards. At the same time, MAVCOM urged consumers to register their complaint with the airline or airport operator should a flight disruption occur. A group of volunteers is looking to combat food waste and reduce hunger during the holy month of Ramadan by collecting leftovers from the food bazaars and giving it to the needy. Volunteers from Gema, a local non-profit organisation, visited 50 Ramadan bazaars across the country with the cooperation of food sellers to gather the leftover food. 3 weeks into the fasting month, Terima has collected over 20,000 kilograms of leftover food from 55 bazaars in Kuala Lumpur. Once collected, the food will be weighed and repacked before being distributed.
Kita akan maklumkan terlebih dahulu kepada peniaga bazar bahawa kita akan buat projek ni, dan kalau ada lebihan makanan sahaja yang tidak terjual, beri pada kami. Kita akan collect atau hantar kepada booth kami. So itu sekurang-kurangnya kami akan lakukanlah. Dan pada hari kejadian juga kita akan kumpul makanan-makanan tersebut dan kita timbang. SOP yang paling penting adalah timbang untuk rekod kita lah. And then lepas timbang tersebut, kita akan buat pembahagian bungkus balik semua tu dan kita berikan kepada yang memerlukan.
According to Solid Waste and Public Cleansing Management Corporation, SWCorp, during Ramadan last year, a staggering 252,521 tonnes of solid waste was collected, with 44.5% of it being food waste. SWCorp estimates that this year, if no action is taken, there could be an additional 75,000 tonnes of food waste generated during Ramadan. The initiative was welcomed by local community.
Cara mereka baguslah. Sebab apa? Sebab mereka akan ambil. Daripada mereka buang contoh sampah, rezeki tak boleh, sayang rezeki tu bantu sampah. Jadi macam mereka ni datang ambil, repacking balik. Alhamdulillah lah, syukurlah sebab apa? Boleh membantu BB40 ni untuk mendapat makanan.
Lebihan tu boleh dijadikan makanan pada waktu tengah malam ataupun waktu bersahur. Dan kebanyakan makanan tu mungkin macam saya sendiri, ada kalanya saya simpan dalam peti ais dan waktu sahur tu saya akan makan. So di situ kita dah boleh savekan penkhidmatan juga pada diri kita sendiri.
Coming up next, Home Ministry plans to build Icqs complex in Pangkalan Hulu. The Home Ministry KDN will build a new Immigration, Customs, Quarantine and Security Icqs complex in Bukit Berapit, Pangkalan Hulu, near the Malaysia-Thai border. Its Deputy Minister Datuk Seri Syamsul Anwar Nasara said the decision was made because the current Icqs location is quite far and this could cause issues of encroachment from outside the country. The construction of the Icqs was approved by the Home Minister at a meeting on 11th April and was brought to the attention of the state and federal governments at district and state levels meetings.
Oleh kerana rancangan Malaysia ke-13 masih lagi jauh dan untuk itu kerja-kerja penyediaan dokumen dan skop akan dilaksanakan secepat mungkin bagi membolehkan kerja-kerja fizikal dapat dilaksanakan oleh kerajaan bila peruntukan telah meluluskan dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-13.
For the short term, the PDRM roadblock will be moved from its current position to the International Front checkpoint. This allows PDRM control and screening to be done there. Recipients of the Malaysian Indian Community Transformation Unit Mitra funds will now be displayed on its official website as part of the effort to clean up its reputation and restore people's confidence. The move was approved during its first meeting yesterday. Mitra Special Committee Chairman Datuk Ramanan Ramakrishnan said all members of the task force were appointed by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and are committed to developing the Indian and Indian Muslim communities, comprising Datuk C. Sivaraj, Klang MP Ganapati Rao Veraman, Segamat MP Yuneswaran Ramaraj and Mitra Director General Ravindran Nair.
Tetapi moving forward, setiap penerima dana walaupun RM1, RM10, 1 sen pun, kami akan pamerkan, we will publish in the website www.mitra.gov.my. So it's very transparent. Kita tak ada apa kita mau sembunyi, kita nak bagi tahu kepada semua bahawa siapa yang dapat, buka website, you boleh check apa yang kami telah buat, what are the initiatives, everything is very clear.
Mitra will also send a letter to the National Audit Department Malaysia to conduct a thorough audit on Mitra before taking further action. He said the committee will also invite officials from the Integrity Department and Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission to be involved in its meetings to rebuild public confidence, adding that its focus is to restore Mitra's tarnished image and implement a restructuring. The process of bringing back 32 Malaysians who are stranded in Sudan will be carried out as soon as the situation permits. Speaking at a media conference on the situation in Sudan, Foreign Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zamri Abdul Qadir said all Malaysian citizens are safe at 7 locations and are provided with food and medicine for 2 weeks.
Berdasarkan penilaian semasa termasuk input yang diperolehi daripada pelbagai pihak di Khartoum, laluan keluar yang selamat adalah melalui udara, iaitu lapangan terbang antarabangsa Khartoum. Walau bagaimanapun, sehingga setakat ini, lapangan terbang berkenaan masih belum boleh beroperasi disebabkan ianya menjadi sasaran pertempuran. Sekali lagi, saya ingin menekankan komitmen kerajaan Malaysia untuk memastikan keselamatan rakyat Malaysia di Sudan menjadi keutamaan. Pasukan petugas khas akan membawa keluar ke semua rakyat Malaysia sebaik sahaja ada peluang berbuat demikian.
Based on the latest reports, 185 people were killed, while more than 2,000 people were reported to be injured, and the number of casualties is feared to be increasing because of the restrictions on access to the battlefield, and Sudan's health services are currently operating at a minimal level. Sharing the latest developments at the Petronas complex in Sudan, which was taken by force last Monday, he said the Sudanese Armed Forces SAF, which is still occupying the building, have made the roof in Block B a post to monitor any activities that may threaten the SAF headquarters. In a foreign front, India population projected to surpass China this month. At least 78 people were killed in a stampede in the Yemeni capital Sana'a, with several more critically injured. Al Masirah TV, the main television news outlet run by Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi movement, said that in addition to the dead, several people were injured, including 13 in a critical situation, citing the Director of Health in Sana'a. The Ministry of Interior spokesman said in a statement that the stampede took place during the distribution of charitable donations by merchants during the final days of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Hundreds of people had crowded into a school to receive the donations, which amounted to 5,000 Yemeni rials, or about $9 per person. The Interior Ministry also said in a separate statement that the 2 merchants responsible for organizing the donation event had been detained and an investigation was underway. Yemen has been embroiled in an 8-year civil war, which has killed tens of thousands of people, wrecked the economy and pushed millions into hunger. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a member of a storied U.S. political dynasty, yesterday announced he will be a Democratic presidential candidate, a long-shot bid to challenge incumbent President Joe Biden for the 2024 Democratic presidential nomination. Kennedy, aged 69, faces little chance of success, but his campaign could help him to advance claims that childhood immunizations pose health risks, a theory that has been repeatedly discredited by multiple scientific reviews. Kennedy has been banned from YouTube and Instagram for spreading misinformation about vaccines and the COVID-19 pandemic. He is the nephew of former President John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1963, and the son of former U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1968 during his own presidential bid. Kennedy made his announcement in Boston, the city where his uncles, also including the late U.S. Senator Edward Kennedy, launched their political careers. Kennedy invoked his father and uncle, but also acknowledged that many current members of the extended family do not support his presidential bid. His anti-vaccine activism has earned him allies on the right. In 2017, Republican then-President Donald Trump tapped him to oversee a vaccine review panel, drawing criticism from scientists who said it could legitimize unfounded skepticism. Biden, age 80, said last Friday that he will run for re-election and will make a formal announcement relatively soon. India is on its way to becoming the world's most populous nation, overtaking China with almost 3 million more people in the middle of this year, according to data released yesterday by the United Nations. India's population is estimated at 1.4286 billion, against 1.4257 billion for China in the United Nations Population Fund's UNFPA State of World Population Report this year. Population experts using previous data from the UN have projected India would surpass China this month, but the global body's latest report did not specify a date. Although both nations will account for more than a third of the estimated global population of 8.045 billion, population growth in both has been slowing, albeit much faster in China than India. Last year, China's population fell for the first time in 6 decades, a historic turn expected to usher in a long period of decline in citizen numbers, with profound implications for its economy and the world. India's annual population growth has averaged 1.2% since 2011, down from 1.7% in the previous decade. A public survey by UNFPA for the 2023 report found the most commonly held opinion in India, as well as in Brazil, Egypt and Nigeria, was that the population in each country was too large and fertility rates were too high. Cuban lawmakers yesterday easily re-elected Miguel DiazCanel as president for a second term as the country faces one of the biggest social and economic crises since Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. DiazCanel, leader of the Communist Party, the country's only recognized political movement, won a landslide vote of 97.66% of the National Assembly, all of whose 470 members are aligned with the party or sympathetic to it. The Assembly also re-elected Salvador Valdez as Cuba's Vice President and Manuel Marrero as Prime Minister. The rejoicing is likely to be short-lived as DiazCanel's incoming administration faces daunting challenges during his next 5-year term. Inflation has soared and tourism has floundered since the coronavirus pandemic, and long lines for fuel, medicine and food have raised tensions, fanning unrest that led to the largest protests in decades in July 2021. Hundreds of thousands have migrated off the Caribbean island in the past year, fleeing economic ruin. DiazCanel's administration will be quickly put to the test as the government seeks to placate the public amid growing shortages and wades into thorny issues, including the regulation of the press and the right to protest. Argentine workers' organizations marched from the city of Avellaneda to Buenos Aires yesterday to protest poor living conditions and the International Monetary Fund IMF deal. Once in Buenos Aires, the workers established a camp in Plaza de Mayo in front of Casa Rosada Presidential Palace, where they will spend the night. Nohel Orellana, a member of the Socialist Workers' Movement, said the deal with the IMF has driven the government to make cuts in social spending, affecting the food delivery to soup kitchens. As the government faces a $44 billion loan agreement with the IMF on the streets, Argentines are struggling to get by with the current 102.5% and climbing inflation rates. Manchester City cruise into Champions League semi-finals. That and more next in sports. Manchester City cruised into the Champions League semi-finals after a 1-1 draw at Bayern Munich yesterday, secured a 4-1 aggregate win that moved them a step closer to an elusive first title in the competition. City forward Erling Haaland drilled in his 48th goal in all competitions this season before Bayern levelled with a Joshua Kimmich penalty in the 83rd. It was City's 15th consecutive game without defeat across all competitions, and Pep Guardiola's team, losing finalists in 2021, will next face holders Real Madrid in the last four. It was also the 10th time Guardiola had reached the semi-finals as a coach, a new record.
To be honest, the two things. First, I'm so happy to be for 3 years in a row semi-final Champions League. To be honest, the result of 4-1 don't show what really was the two games from my point of view. I could not expect differently for the fact that how good they are, the physicality, the ideas. The Bayern Munich is always I was impressed when I live with them, and I always impressed when I play against them. But in this competition is the details.
Sporting Lisbon may face an uphill battle against Juventus in the second leg of their Europa League quarter-final. But coach Ruben Amorim says his side should not be counted out. Juventus won the first leg 1-0 in Turin, and the teams will battle it out again in Lisbon's Estadio José Alvalade today, with Amorim confident they can prevail over the Italians at home. The Portuguese coach said if his squad plays at their best, nothing can stop them.
Eu acho que precisamos sempre contra estas grandes equipas, como tivemos com o Arsenal, mas acima de tudo precisamos de consistência, de eficácia, e portanto são coisas que estão ao nosso alcance. Eu acho que o heroísmo é uma coisa que transcende um bocadinho. Nós provamos que se nós estivermos no nosso máximo e não precisamos mais do que isso, o nosso máximo, nós conseguimos passar a Juventus. Portanto, eu diria que sim, precisamos de um bocadinho, mas acima de tudo precisamos fazer o nosso trabalho corretamente, em todas as posições, em todos os momentos, e só isso já é difícil. Todos 90 minutos estar concentrados a marcar jogadores como o Di Maria, o Chiesa, o Vlahovic, o Pogba, já isso é um bocadinho de...
Sporting dominated much of the first leg and has chances to score in the first half, but the second half goal from Federico Gatti put Juve over the top. The team that advances on Thursday will face either Sevilla or Manchester United in the semi-finals. Still on the Europa League, Sevilla hosts Manchester United later tonight for the second leg of the quarter-final, with the score currently level at 2-2 following the six-time champions' late comeback at Old Trafford. The Andalusian outfit have suffered a disappointing season in La Liga, resulting in the sackings of Julen Lopetegui and his replacement, Jorge Sampaoli. However, they have been on a good run of late under new manager Jose Luis Mendilibar, defeating relegation rivals Valencia 2-0 to move 8 points clear of the drop. Speaking at a news conference yesterday, Serbian midfielder Nemanja Gildej expressed his hopes that a victory over Manchester United in the Europa League can prove Sevilla's difficult league season is just a blip for an otherwise very capable squad. Gildej also brushed off any talk of Sevilla's being lucky after injuries to Manchester United's starting centre-back pairing, Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez, left United with 10 men for the final 10 minutes in the first leg. United was also dealt another blow as a suspension for accumulated yellow cards ruled Bruno Fernandes out of today's match at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium. Stefanos Tsitsipas cruised into the last 16 of the Barcelona Open yesterday with a straight sets win over Argentina's Pedro Cachin. Second seed Tsitsipas, twice a Barcelona runner-up to Rafael Nadal in 2018 and 2021, needed just 78 minutes to beat Cachin 6-4 and 6-2. Tsitsipas did not face a break point and converted all 3 of his own during a dominant display against the number 69 ranked Argentine. He was consistent with his ground strokes off both wings and showcased some delicate touches at the net. The Greek broke in the 5th game of the opening set and twice more at the start of the 2nd set against his 69th ranked opponent. Tsitsipas is now 13-4 in Barcelona, where he fell to Rafael Nadal in both of his previous championship match appearances. Tsitsipas, whose bid for a 3rd consecutive Monte Carlo Masters title was ended in the quarterfinals last week, will next play Denis Shapovalov. Over in the Banja Luka Open, Novak Djokovic battled into the quarterfinals yesterday after dropping the first set to Frenchman Luca Van Assche. The world number 1 rallied back in the 2nd and 3rd sets to send Van Assche packing with a 6-7, 6-3 and 6-2 win in just over 2 hours and 40 minutes. Djokovic had to dig deep to recover from his first set loss as he fought back in the 2nd set to level the match, playing with more depth and testing Van Asse's court coverage, often putting the teen on defense. With crowd support behind him, the 35-year-old stayed aggressive on return, which helped improve his season record to 17-2. The Serb is currently aiming for his 3rd title of the season after he clinched the Adelaide and Australian Open. In the quarterfinals, the Serb will face either compatriot Dusan Lajovic or another Frenchman, Gregoire Barrare, who knocked out wildcard Hamad Medjedovic in straight set 7-6, 7-5. 3rd seed Borna Koric of Croatia could not produce a winning comeback like Djokovic. After leveling the tie at 1 set all, he went on to lose 6-4, 6-7, 6-4 to Serbia's Laszlo Djere. Djere will face Alex Molcan of Slovakia in the quarterfinals. Final item on cycling. Tadej Pogacar won the 87th edition of La Flèche Wallonne yesterday, the Slovenian proving imperious on the Murdehi to claim victory. The UAE Team Emirates rider and 2-time Tour de France champion pulled away with 150 meters to go for a solo uphill sprint finish to the ride from Herve to Huy in Belgium. Pogacar came in ahead of Dane Matthias Skelsmos of Trek Skeva Fredo in 2nd and Spaniard Mika Landa of Bahrain victorious in 3rd. Britain's Tom Pidcock was among the leaders on the final climb but faded to finish 18th, 15 seconds behind the winner. Pogacar's win further increases expectations that he will be able to end his devastating spring campaign with victory in the last monument of the season, Liège-Bastogne-Liège on Sunday.
For me, it's winning. I don't know. I think for everybody, you don't get bored crossing the line first, and I really enjoying that, and I'm really grateful that I have this moment now with such a great shape. So I enjoy this moment while I can.
And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top stories, 700,000 passengers expected to travel via flights during Idul Fitri season. Now, do tune in to Malaysia Tonight coming up later on saluran Berita RTM. Or you can also stream it via RTM's mobile Click app. Till then, I'm Renee Fong. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant afternoon.